Dave Carter shifts, and Will Crawley into the ball game for the first time, and this is Crawley handing it off Pritchard. He's got the first down and more, 50 to the 45, trying to spin off a tackler, can't do it, and it's a first down for the Denison Yellow Jackets as Pritchard takes it off right tackle, cut it back to the middle, and found a good piece of daylight.
Well, Mr. Bam Bam Pritchard just did that. He just bammed his way all the way to the other side of the field on the 46-yard line. So Denison looking really well so far with the running game.
Yeah, the thing that set that play up, it looked like, was Jackson going left. Pritchard came back a step right, took the handoff, cut it back up the middle of the field. We got a flag on the play. And let's check down for the first time with Jason Smith. Jason, any indication of what that hanky might be?
It looks like it's an illegal substitution of some kind.
Yep. I think 12 men in the huddle. That's going to draw the ire of Coach Brown.
One thing that we've seen so far is there's a lot of shifting going on at the line of scrimmage. They'll line up in a formation, and the quarterback will say set, and then everybody moves. The tight end will go around to the other side. The backs move out to a flanker spot. A lot of shifting going on. You don't normally see that in game one. You see that a lot in the playoffs, but never in game one.
Well, the Jackets appear to have it down so far. Power eye, too tight set. They'll shift again on 1st and 15. The ball near the midfield stripe. No score between Denison and Paris. Here on 93.1. This is going to be a toss. Hines in the game. It's Jackson, rather, and he gets to the 45-yard line, the original line of scrimmage. Howard Jackson is a pretty good-sized young man. 5'8", 160 is what he's listed, but he sure plays bigger than that to me.
You know, he's very comparable to Ronnie Ford. Ronnie, of course, last year, the back who had 17 touchdowns and over 1,500 yards. He's comparable to that.
Jarvis Hill, Patrick Humphrey from their linebacking spots making the stop. It'll be 2nd down and 9 for the 45. Quick snap. This is a high toss. Jackson reels it in, gets down to the 42 or 3-yard line before he is taken out of the play, and it'll be 3rd down and long for the Yellow Jackets. Last year, Denison on 3rd down conversions, only 40 out of 120.
If you'll remember, this time last year, we were wondering who the tailback was going to be, too, because we didn't know. Kellen Federe and Ronnie Ford were both vying for that top spot. Coach Brown told us, hey, whoever's going to play on defense, the other one will play tailback.
That's right. Coach Brown does like to put the best athletes on defense. 3rd down and 7 for the Jackets. Crawley, a toss to Jackson, coming right, trying to find a block, turns it in, gets near the 40-yard line, well short of the first down, though, as he's going to be stopped by Casey Garvin coming up from his cornerback spot. And it'll be 4th down and decision time for Bob Brown. And with the field like this, really no decision. You're going to kick the football.
Yeah, it looks like James Butler will come back on this year to do the punting as he did last year. He's got a good foot. Told me yesterday that he went to Ray Pelfrey's kicking camp and did very well out there.
Broadnex will be back deep to return this punt. He'll stand at the 10-yard line. He will be joined by the Wildcats, by 2 other Wildcats. We'll have to check their numbers momentarily. And this is going to be Butler putting the foot into this one. A spiraling kick that is going to hit inside the 5, roll into the end zone, and it will be a touchback out to the 20-yard line. So Paris starts 1st and 10 from no score in the ball game between Denison and Paris. The season opener in 0 week for both squads. Lynn Burkhead, Monte Walker, and the rest of the Yellow Jacket crew tonight on 93.1 FM KMKT. The Paris Wildcats will start business 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. The quarterback will be Kirsten. We'll have to give you the Paris offense momentarily. Kirsten, the quarterback, he will turn and hands it off to the first man through. That'll be Jarvis Hill. Nothing doing as the Yellow Jacket defensive front swarms quickly. The offensive front for Paris, Kevin Ballard up front, Brian Glass, Chase Lancaster the center, Chris Guerrero the right tackle, Pete Russell the right guard, and it will be Craig Kirsten, the 5'10", 185 junior quarterback, the fullback Jasmine Franklin, Jarvis Hill the tailback in this wing tee set, Byron Blake a wingback, in the strong end Ricky Broadno along with Jacob Caraveau. As the Wildcats face 2nd down and about 8 yards to go, Kirsten with a straight eye look behind him. 2 receivers split to the right, and he will hand it off. Jarvis Hill coming left, his feet taken out from under him quickly. That was a great play by the Yellow Jacket linebacker coming over to make the stop for Denison.
Howard Jackson. So not only is he the tailback, he's also playing defense. So Bob Brown's theory from last year is out the window because he's playing both ways.
Yeah, he did a nice job of plugging the gap and forcing Hill to slide over, and he took his feet out from under him.
What we'll see this year is a lot of beef up front from the defensive lineman. Johnny Hoover comes back, and he's all-world. He probably will go D1 football next year.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt, I think, anyway. Third down and about 6 yards to go. Kirsten's going to toss it to Hill. Coming to the near sideline. The Jackets had it strung out. Hill got away and got the first down. It's going to be close. They're going to say he stepped on the out-of-bounds line, but I believe he's got it. If he doesn't, he is inches short.
Well, yeah, because the referee is standing right inside of the marker. Let's go down to Jason Smith. Jason, can you see? They're going to call it fourth down.
Yeah, where the placement is, he's 6 inches short where the referee has his foot spotted.
Well, that was merely stepping on the out-of-bounds marker because Hill had turned it up the field, and I guess the left foot kind of strayed out. And it is going to be fourth down and short, and the Wildcats, Benton Rainey squad, they're going to go for it.
As I was mentioning about the defensive line, Johnny Hoover, 224 pounds up front. Shelly Pitts, also 200 pounds. 219 for Rhodes and 182 for Washington.
Nope, they're going to punt it. Kirsten is also the Wildcats punter. Jackson will go back deep for Denison, and this is going to be an end-over-end kick that he is going to watch bounce in front of him. Takes on the hop at the 20 or 33, up the field. A nice block, gets out across the 40, and then is buried at the 43-yard line. Got a good block at the 38. Tried to turn inside of another defender, couldn't do it. And the Yellow Jackets are in business once again with good field position. Also going to be tough with number 15 and number 16. That would be Rob Crawley and Will Crawley. We're just simply going to call him Crawley Squared, and Crawley Squared, or the junior, remember that, is in the backfield. Now he'll break out a straight I formation of Pritchard and Jackson. And this is going to be Crawley handing it off Pritchard, and he powers his way for a yard or two. Not much more, as coming in to make the stop is going to be Gray. Troy Gray along with Patrick Humphrey for the Wildcats.
You know, Bam Bam Pritchard got nearly 4 yards on that carry. Coach Brown was telling us when we had lunch with him about a month ago that one of their big stats is a yak yard. And what yak stands for is yard after contact. And we think that Mr. Pritchard will have a lot of those yak yards.
Well, he just had 4 of them right there, 3 rather. This is going to be a power eye, a wishbone look nearly for the Yellow Jackets. Now they'll shift out of it, an offset eye. And a tight look to the left, a two tight set. This is going to be Pritchard getting the toss, heading left, and trying to cut it back into the middle of the field. He got out to about the 47-yard line. That's going to set up third down and about 3 to 4 yards for Denison. And one thing, Monte, that we need to talk about that's going to become important as the game goes along is how dry the football is. That is going to play a big factor in turnovers. It's also going to play a big factor if we see much passing tonight in the throwing game.
Well, and that, you know, what that means is we haven't even seen a pass yet. The field is not too conditionable for the throwing game.
Nope, and Denison probably not going to throw here. Offset eye look, a wing look to the right, and somebody might have jumped for Denison, and they did.
It's going to be Nesbitt, looks like, on the far side. I think Nesbitt got a little jump early on that play.
5:14 to go in the first quarter here at Noyes Stadium in Paris, Texas. No score between the Jackets and the Wildcats, and our man roaming the sidelines has got something for us. Jason, what do you got?
Well, on that play right there, it was going to be the first pass play. As you've seen Crawley out with a play fake. Nesbitt, of course, the man that jumped off sides anticipating that quick pass.
That puts them back at the 40-yard line.
Jackets 1 out of 1 tonight. Third down conversions. This is third down and 12 from the 40-yard line. Offset eye look to receiver split to the left. Crawley, play action. He wants to throw, has some time, trying to find a man. Now he's going to tuck it up and run. He's got a seam, 40, 45, and it closes in a hurry at the 45-yard line. Demetrius Dixon doing a little bit of post celebrating there, and he was dangerously close to a flag, but it's going to be punting time for Denison again.
One thing that's a major difference in that play from last year is that Crawley didn't force a pass like he did a lot last year. He just simply, when the receiver wasn't there, receiver was covered, he tucked it and ran, and that's better than a turnover.
Jarvis Hill will be back deep along with Broadnecks as Butler comes in to punt, stands at the 31. Good snap, no pressure, gets the foot into this one. Not his best effort. It's a wobbly kick that does take a Denison bounce and then dies at the 22-yard line. But this will be Kirsten with an offset eye look behind him on 1st and 10 from the 22. Toss to Henderson, and he is going to juggle the pitch as he caught it, but he's going to run over right tackle for 2 or 3 or 4, maybe 5 yards before it's all said and done. We'll see where they spot it. He is down at the 26, so a 4-yard pickup. Second down and short coming up as Henderson makes the carry, his first effort of the night. Jessie Henderson, the sophomore, had 447 yards rushing last year at North Lamar, which is just down the road a ways from Paris High School.
Howard Jackson checking out of the ball game. That means Robert Jackson coming in at the defensive safeties position.
Henderson and Franklin in the backfield behind Kirsten, and he is going to toss it. Henderson, he hauls it in, 25, and he pulls up at the 30 as the flag and whistle stops play. I think somebody might have jumped the gun for the Wildcats. Denison penalized, I think, twice so far on the evening. No penalties yet for the Wildcats, but this one appears to be the first of the night.
In last year's game, both teams had about the exact amount of penalties and yards. Denison 10 penalties for 92 yards, Paris 10 penalties for 91.
That made neither coach happy after week 0 last year.
A lot of gassers were ran before week 2.
Oh, yes. Illegal procedure marked off. Second down and 12 from the 21-yard line. This is going to be a reverse to Franklin, the fullback, and he is going a flag on the play, maybe holding against the Wildcats. Franklin goes down about the 24-yard line. That one is going back to the goal line. When you see the official, I think it is, when you see the official throw it right in the pile where the running back's coming out of it, normally means holding.
I was hoping it wasn't a face mask because he did throw it right as he was tackling the ball carrier.
And the Jackets apparently going to decline the penalty. That would set up third down and long. Players looking to the sidelines, and they will decline it, so it will set up third down and about 8.5, 9 yards to go for the Wildcats. No score, 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the first quarter. This quarter flying by. Not a pass attempted so far on this soggy night. We knew not many would be attempted anyway, and the weather conditions have probably even reduced that number. Third down and long for the Wildcats. Kirsten comes to the line, and it will be Franklin in the backfield. Note, check that. It'll be Darius Ferguson along with Jarvis Hill in the backfield. This will be Kirsten. He drops back, wants to pass. He's sacked from behind. The ball is loose, and the Wildcats have actually recovered at the 21. Up to the 30-yard line. That nearly turned into a first down carry, as an offensive lineman for the Wildcats, Chris Guerrera, a junior returning starter, picked the loose ball up. I thought the quarterback was down on the ground, and the ball popped free after he hit the turf. The referee, though, said no, and the lineman nearly got a first down. It'll set up fourth down and 4. He got 10 yards.
I thought Anthony Washington from the right defensive end position was actually the person there who jumped on the ball, but apparently it squirted out from underneath him.
Robert Jackson will be the lone man back deep to return this expected punt from Craig Kirsten, the 5'10", 185 junior quarterback / punter. Jackson back. It's a low snap. The Jackets nearly got there. They didn't quite get it. Jackson, a sitting duck, catches it at the 30, tries to hit the sideline. 40, look out. 45 and run out of bounds on the Paris Wildcat side of things. And once again, Denison starts with reasonably good field position. Was not. It was just barely missed by Jones. A power eye, too tight set for Denison. Now they'll shift. Brenton Nesbitt and Will Crawley will shift to the left side. Offset eye look, and Jackson, once again, the tailback, gets the handoff and heads right, then cut it left, right up the middle off the center's block. And it will be a short gain for Robert Jackson. Check that, Howard Jackson on the carry. And short gain of 3.5 to 4 yards. So second down, about 6 coming up. We have yet to see Anthony Hines carry the football, and I think several of us were really impressed with Anthony Hines coming out of preseason practice in the 2 scrimmages, but he has yet to carry the ball. Jackson once again the tailback. Pritchard offset eye to the right. Receivers either side. A tight look to the left. Crawley, he'll toss it, a high toss. Jackson hauls it in up to the midfield stripe and nearly the 45-yard line. If he got there, it's a first down. I think he's going to be just shy. It should be third down and less than a yard to go for Denison.
Look at the power blocking on that side by Robbie Thomas. Thomas over there just moving people away, and he was actually right there with the ball carrier at the end of the play because he was hustling up. I tell you, Robbie Thomas took about 2 or 3 guys out.
Third down and inches to go for the Yellow Jackets. The ball on the Wildcat side of things. This is the second time out of 3 possessions that Denison has actually been in Wildcat territory. And it'll be third down at about 1 yard to go. Denison 1 out of 2 tonight in third down conversions. Power I, 2 tight set. A handoff inside Pritchard. First down and more. Still going across the 40 to the 39-yard line. The walking, we'll call him running muscle that time, bam-bammed his way to a first down and more.
Boy, he did. I tell you, Lynn, he's going to be fun to watch this year because he just lowers his head, runs over people. And when you got a guy like that who just runs right through, he's fearless. I think he has no fear in his mind at all about his body.
Jasmine Franklin and Josh Fields know what it feels like to be hit by Bam Bam. Second first down of the night for either squad, I believe. I know that's true for Denison, and it is true for Paris. First down and 10 for the Wildcat, 39-yard line, no score. 8 seconds to go in the first quarter. Howard Jackson on the toss, heading right, then cutting it back to the middle. Got to the 36-yard line. That is the final play of the first quarter here from Noyes Stadium in Paris, Texas. No score between Denison and Paris, but the Yellow Jackets on the move. Stay tuned. You're listening to Denison Yellow Jacket football on KMKT. Yellow Jacket football continues in a moment.
Opening the second quarter, Denison, first down.
Power I look for Denison. Rob Crawley has gone away as the quarterback. The Jackets shift out into that offset eye look. Crawley calling for the football, and he'll hand it off Pritchard. Pritchard running straight ahead, and he gets across the 35-yard line before he's tackled at the 34, making the stop for Paris. Patrick Humphrey from his outside linebacking spot. Third down at about 4.5 to 5 yards upcoming for the Yellow Jackets.
23, Brian Pritchard, the ball carrier.
Denison on the night, 2 out of 3, I believe, 2 out of 4 rather, in third down conversions, as the Wizard corrects me. And Denison with the ball at the 34-yard line. 4 receiver look, 1 man in the backfield. That is Howard Jackson. He gets it on a draw play, breaks a tackle, 30, and hammered to the turf. If he could have gotten free of that last man, he had a lot of green to run through. But one last man makes the stop for the Wildcats. That's the inside linebacker, Jasmine Franklin.
And I'm going to tell you, Jasmine Franklin just laid a mammoth hit. If you watch this Tuesday night on the Cable One replay, you'll see that he ran into a brick wall.
Jackets are going to go for it. Last year, they were 8 out of 12 in fourth down conversions. That's a 667 percentage. And they're going for it here, 4th and 1. The ball at the 30-yard line. Power I look for Denison. 2 tight set. Crawley, a toss. Jackson, he is going to be stopped short of the first down, I believe. It's going to depend on the spot of the football. He hesitated too long. He wanted to head left. He decided to cut it back to the right, and it's going to go over, I believe, to the Wildcats on downs. They're going to measure. And our man on the spot, Jason Smith, what do you think? First call of the year.
Looks to me like they're about 2 inches short on this one, but we'll see.
I'll go 6 inches. They needed to get to the 29. They're just across the 30. And it's going to be, I believe, short. We'll let them stretch and see. If they got it, it's by a whisker. They're going to stretch it. And they got it by a whisker. The nose of the football, and the Yellow Jackets gamble on 4th down, get the first down. You're listening to Yellow Jacket football on 93.1 FM, KMKT. The Jackets with the first down after going for it on 4th down. They have the ball spotted just across the 30. No score, early stages of the second quarter. Lynn, Burkhead, and Monte Walker with you. 2 tight power I look for Denison. And this is going to be Crawley back to pass, flushed up. He's going to throw it downfield. A man, Brenton Nesbitt, slipped. There's a late flag at the 5-yard line. Could be pass interference. Crawley, a lot of poise that time, Monty, as he saw pressure coming up, and then he ducked it. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Texoma Sports Broadcasting Network. Okay, Monty, it is pass interference against the Wildcats, but let's talk about Crawley. Bad decisions against Paris last year. Pretty good one that time.
Yeah, he's looked, of course, he looked really good down the stretch last year.
Absolutely.
You know, he was an all-district selection. He really matured. After about game 3, he looked sharp. I looked down on that play, and as soon as he threw the ball, I looked at Nesbitt, and it looked like he just fell down. And then as the ball got there, the referee went ahead and threw the flag.
The Wildcats want a timeout. We'll join them. No score, second quarter. Denison and Paris on 93.1. Stay tuned. Yellow Jacket football continues in a moment.
Here in the
Back at Noyes Stadium, an inside handoff for the Yellow Jackets to Stephen Bryant, a fullback on the power I set on 1st down and 10 at the 15. He picks up 2 or 3 yards, and it'll be 2nd and long. And Monty Walker, I'm going to commend Denison fans. There's more Denison fans here tonight in Lamar County than there are Paris fans on a bad weather night. And for all of those fans listening back home, we've got something new this year.
Yeah, we sure do. For you guys back home, we're going to introduce the
Trent Mahana and Vincent Rhodes, the 2 tight ends of the power I look for Denison. This is going to be Jackson on the carry off left tackle, and he's inside the 10-yard line to the 8, about 3 yards shy of the 1st down. 3rd down and about 3 coming up for the Yellow Jackets. No score, but Denison threatening here.
We were talking about the trivia question, how that works. We will give you a question, and you will call 465-6200 at the Katy Country Studio. And the first caller with the correct answer wins a dinner for 2 at the Cotton Patch.
3rd down and 4, 2 tight power I look. Jackson high toss, tries to haul it in and get to the 5-yard line, can't do it. And the ball did pop free. The Wildcats pounced on it, but the official saying, nope, that ball was fumbled after Jackson hit the turf. It was a high toss from Rob Crawley, the quarterback, and Denison apparently going to have to settle for a field goal, and Jamie Butler will be the kicker of choice for Bob Brown. We had been told that Rusty Schmidt might be the place kicker tonight for the Jackets, but it's going to be Jamie Butler. 3 out of 6 from the field goal department last year, 37 his long. This ball will be spotted at the 18-yard line, so a 28-yard effort coming up from the left hash mark. The left-footed Butler, Nesbitt, it is a bad snap. Nesbitt gets at the fire play. He is running for his life, and he is going to be tackled short of the 1st down, and the Wildcat defense holds. It was a poor snap from Shane Stone, the deep snapper. Not a poor snap. It just sailed a little bit high, and Nesbitt, the wet football, he couldn't hold on to it, and that was pretty much the story. And the Jacket field goal effort comes up for naught.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And also what we want to point out is probably Mr. Schmitz that was going to kick. He is a barefooted kicker. That might have played a factor into Coach Brown's decision into sending Butler out there.
Well, Denison making a lot of mistakes last year in their season opening loss to these Wildcats, a 21-7 loss, the first time ever in Bob Brown's career. Hint, that the Yellow Jackets have lost. Actually, first time ever that a Bob Brown team's lost. We'll take a timeout. The Wildcats want to talk about it. You're listening to Denison football. No score between the Wildcats and the Jackets. Back in a moment on KMKT. Back at Noyes Stadium, the Wildcats toss it to Franklin, the fullback. There's a fumble on the play at the 20. There is also a penalty marker, I believe, on the field that was thrown into the pile. The Jackets have recovered the fumble. We'll have to wait and sort the hanky. Jason, am I correct? There was a penalty, or was it just the beanie?
Yes, there was a holding penalty called, and then the fumble occurred. Jackets recovered the fumble, declined the penalty, Jacket ball.
I don't know who recovered the fumble, but I know Howard Jackson was the guy that stuck his helmet right in there on the ball carrier and popped the ball loose.
I want to say it was either Robert Jackson or Ronnie Powell that pounced on the football.
I think I said Howard Jackson. I meant Robert.
But the Jackets get the first turnover of the night this year. Paris was very opportunistic last year, converting Yellow Jacket turnovers into points in a 21-7 victory over Denison in the season opener. Tonight, Denison gets the first mistake. They will benefit from the first mistake as the Wildcats, Franklin, the fullback, Jeremy Franklin, fumbles the football. Crawley, a power I, 2 tight set. This is going to be a handoff. Pritchard, he's hit as he got the football, wrestled to the turf after a short gain. And the Wildcats saying nothing doing there. Denison started off pretty woefully last year, Monte, in the turnover department. They ended up losing only 12 fumbles on the year, 5 interceptions, 2 of those coming in the first game of the season, 3 of those against the Wildcats. They ended up with a pretty respectable turnover ratio, +6. Anytime you're on the plus side of the turnover ratio, that's pretty good. That means you got 6 more than your opponent's got, and that's a pretty good number.
Denison obviously starting with the best field position so far of this game.
Yeah, but they have yet to take advantage of it as we have 7 minutes, 29 seconds to go in the first half. And a penalty marker will stop things before Rob Crawley can pull the trigger on what looked to be a pass. And somebody may have jumped for the Yellow Jackets. Waiting the indication, it is going to be a legal procedure marked off against Denison. And that'll bring up 2nd down and 15. The Jackets have benefited from great field position tonight. They have started, I think, every possession across their own, better than their own 35-yard line. They've been in Paris territory 3 times, drove to the 8-yard line. They've run 20 plays to Paris 7, and yet they have nothing on the scoreboard. Power I, 2 tight set. Nesbitt will flip with Vincent Road. And this will be an offset eye look for Crawley. 2nd and 15. Long snap. He is going to play action. He's wanting to throw the football, setting up the screen. It's not there. The official fell down. Crawley throws on the run, and it's incomplete. And Crawley was hammered after he let the football go, and there is a penalty marker on the field. And that should be roughing the passer.
Not sure exactly what it's going to be. It's thrown about 10 yards off the line of scrimmage downfield.
Nope, it's coming back against the Jackets, I believe. Ineligible receiver downfield is going to be the indication. And so while the turnovers have not bitten the Jackets tonight as they did in the year 2000, the penalty flag is continuing to nip at the heels of the Yellow Jackets, and that one is going to turn 2nd and 15 into 2nd and a whole lot more.
Another 5 yards, so make it 2nd and 20.
The ball is at the 30-yard line. The Jackets need to get to the 9 for a first down. They want points. 6:59 and the clock cranks here in the second quarter. No score on KMKT between Denison and Paris. Offset eye look, a 2-tight wing to the right set for the Jackets, and Crawley's going to hand it to Pritchard. He's going to hand it off on the reverse inside to Jackson. The ball is loose, and the Wildcats have recovered. That was Robert Jackson getting the carry, I believe, that time on the reverse. And as he turned the corner, the football did not, and the Jackets now have turned the football over for the first time tonight. So the Paris miscue goes for 9.
It was kind of a double counter type of play, handed off to Pritchard, who handed off in return to Robert Jackson.
It's actually Ronnie Powell. Check the number, and it was Ronnie Powell on the wingback reverse that fumbled the football.
But that's very unfortunate for the Jackets, as they had great field position, moved backwards on penalties. That was a horrible series, and I know those guys are really wanting to move things back in gear.
Kirsten, the quarterback, again, a wing look to the left as the wing tee comes back. This is the ball is loose, but it popped right into the midst of the center for the Wildcats. It was Jessie Henderson who got the quick toss in the wing tee offense. He headed left, took 2 steps, and I'm not sure, but I believe it was Howard Jackson that put the helmet on the football. It squirted up in the air, and the center, Chase Lancaster, was laying flat on his back, and the ball fell into his gut.
Very fortunate.
There were 3 yellow or gold jerseys swarming to that football when Lancaster just said, "Hey, look what I found."
We told you that with the field condition like this, the ball can be put on the turf a lot, as we have 6:12 left to go in the first half, no score.
6:12 to go. Wing look again, a receiver split. Kirsten, the quarterback for the Wildcats. No score. This is going to be Jarvis Hill getting the toss, trying to head to the far side. Found a seam to run. 40, 45, still going 50. Down the sidelines and out of bounds in Yellow Jacket territory at the 46-yard line. It is the first trip into Denison territory for the Wildcats tonight. It is also the initial first down of the evening for Paris.
Looks like Shelly Pitts is the guy that ran him out of bounds finally after that big gain. Shelly, the defensive lineman, who's only 5'8" but 200 pounds, runs pretty well. As you'll remember last year, he scored that touchdown against Hershey. And if it weren't for him, that would have been a 6-pointer.
Jarvis Hill checks out of the ball game for the Wildcats. Darius Ferguson in his place. This is a wing look. On 1st and 10 at the 47 is where they'll mark it. Kirsten, the quarterback, he's going to turn, tosses it to Demetrius Dixon, and he is going to be swarmed just after crossing the line of scrimmage. He's tackled at the 45-yard line after a 2 or 3 yard gain. 2nd and long coming up. Don't forget to join us at halftime. Jason Smith has a very interesting guest this evening that I'm sure a lot of folks in Denison will recognize. And, of course, the Wizard will update you on all the stats and scores.
35-yard line.
Good luck, and we've pretty much already given you the answers, so hopefully somebody will get it pretty quickly. Wing look, a receiver to the near side, 2nd and 7 for the 45. Whistles before this one can get underway, and it is going to be a timeout call by the Wildcats. We'll join them. No score in the second quarter. Denison and Paris knotted up. Goose eggs on the board. Back in a moment with more Denison High School football. 2nd down along, 7, nearly 8 from the 45 of Denison. This is Kirsten. He's going to toss it to the tailback, who's going to bobble the football and go down to the turf at the midfield stripe, the 50, before he can haul it in. That's Jessie Henderson, the sophomore, who had 5 runs over 65 yards last year. Monte, we're looking for a...
Loses back to the 50-yard line. Where it's 3rd down 12.
Offset eye look, 2 receivers to the near side, 3rd and 12. Kirsten back to pass. He's going to throw for the first time tonight over the middle. It is almost picked off by the Yellow Jackets. It is incomplete as Christian Brown could not haul it in. It was overthrown. Matt Holcomb, the intended receiver, and it will be 4th down and 12 for the Paris Wildcats.
For number 6, Ricky Broadnax, incomplete. 4th down 12. Craig Corsten to punt.
Another penalty. Well, the Wildcats are thinking about going for it, perhaps. They still have Kirsten in, and the Jackets have sent Jackson back, but there's a penalty flag, 12 men in the huddle. Robert Jackson will be the man back deep for Denison. Denison, with the sloppy field conditions, has the block on.
That's going to be 4th and 17 now. Jerry
Gray, number 80, when you see him at home in a couple of weeks, he is the speedster, we understand, on this Yellow Jacket team. This guy has burners, afterburners. He nearly got the last punt, and he is on the field trying to get out to the right side as an outside rusher, as Kirsten stands at the 31 waiting for the snap. Jackson back. It's a high snap. Kirsten puts the foot into this one amidst 4 Yellow Jackets. Jackson is going to fall on the football after he lost the handle momentarily. He called for the fair catch. It went through the breadbasket to the turf, but he fell on it and covered it immediately. And Denison starts 1st and 10 from the 23-yard line. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Wizard, that's the worst starting position of the night for the Yellow Jackets.
There's a flag on the play.
Penalty on the play, and it's going against the Wildcats. It's going to be an offsides penalty, and Denison's going to make them do it again, as you might expect. 4 minutes, 8 seconds to go in the first half of play. No score between Denison and Paris here on 93.1 FM, KMKT. Lynn, Burkhead, Monte Walker, and the crew. That would be Jason Smith down in the mud, and Quagmire. Dale Davis spotting, as he always does, and, of course, the Wizard manning our producer's booth and the stat sheet. And you'll hear from Kevin and from Jason at halftime, along with a special guest. Stay tuned.
Now that they're going to have to punt it again, and with the field condition the way it is, with the wet ball and everything, the best thing might to do is just to let the ball bounce. You don't want to take a chance on catching the ball and have it squirt out just like it's done several times so far.
Here comes the block. Kirsten gets it away again, and it's a high kick that Jackson has no chance to recover. It's going to bounce at the 29 and take a lateral roll, and it'll be killed there by Kevin Ballard, a lineman down for the Wildcats. So Denison starts at the 30-yard line, or 29 rather. 1st and 10 there. So they pick up 6 yards on the re-kick.
3:57 left to go in the first half. Still no score. Looking for that first Yellow Jacket touchdown this year.
Well, we kind of knew this was coming given the weather conditions today. Who would have ever thought that on the last day of August 2001 we would be talking about it being cool and wet?
72 degrees.
And that was at game time. It's probably maybe down a degree or two even from that. the number I'm focusing on, 94% humidity. Offset eye look, receivers either side. 1st and 10, Denison. Crawley, a quick drop, wants to throw. Nesbitt has it. He's hit as soon as he catches it at the 33. That's the first pass completion of the night as Rob Crawley throws the quick out route to Brenton Nesbitt. Nesbitt last year, 10 catches, 110 yards for an 11-yard average, no touchdowns. He is certainly intent on changing that last number this year.
That's the way Coach Brown likes to run his offense. When he has to, well, he says he throws on his terms, and what he means by that is, basically I'm going to run the football all day long, and then I'll maybe mix up a pass or two, and he did just then, but it was only for 4 yards.
Nesbitt splits far right. Powell to the near side. I formation, look tight, look to the right. This is going to be, again, play action. Crawley hit and sacked in the backfield to the 25-yard line, and Coach Brown has won a lot of football games, 89 at Denison, 189 in his career, and he's from the Vince Lombardi School. When you pass, there's 3 things that can happen, and 2 of them are bad, and we just saw one of them there. Actually, there's 4 things, I guess, with a sack, and that's what just happened.
Also from the Vince Lombardi School, he picked up the sweep, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And tell you what, that philosophy is a pretty good philosophy in Texas high school football, isn't it? Coach Brown certainly has the numbers to back it up. 3rd down and 12 for the Yellow Jackets. They'll shift receivers, 2 split wide to the right, an offset eye look. This is going to be the handoff inside to Pritchard, the fullback, and he gets 2 or 3 yards before his feet come out from under him, and the Jackets will be forced to punt the football away, and Paris may come up with relatively good field position. 2:22 to go in the first half and counting. No score between Denison and the Paris Wildcats here on 93.1 FM, KMKT. Thank you very much for spending your Friday evening with us. And
already the 3rd punt so far from Mr. Butler.
Jamie Butler with a 63-yard effort last year, his log, a 36.9 average, and he's going to let the clock wind down. Paris has no timeouts left. They cannot stop the clock in the first half. They burned all 3 of them, and Butler's going to let the play clock expire. Gets the snap, puts the foot into this one, and it's a beaut. It's a spiraling kick that is going to be take a bounce, a Yellow Jacket bounce at the 40, rolls across the 35, and is killed at the 29-yard line.
Beautiful punt.
There is a penalty marker, I regret to inform you, laying at the line of scrimmage, however, and it could be against the Yellow Jackets, and I believe, in fact, it is. Well, Butler's still coming. Yep, illegal procedure called against the Jackets, and I'm going to tell you, Benton Rainey, he's already going to. You can just bet what's fixing to happen here. Mr. Butler's going to have to do this one again.
Well, just as Denison made Paris re-punt, looks like they're going to do the same favor back to Denison.
Well, what really hurts the Jackets is they had the ball, 1st down and 10 from the 14-yard line, got it as deep as the 8-yard line, and came up empty on the field goal attempt as the snap went awry. They get a Wildcat turnover inside the 25-yard line and are unable to do anything but go backwards with it. So 2 golden scoring opportunities go by the wayside for the Jackets. Now a penalty backs up Butler after a very long punt, and he is standing at the 12-yard line. Low snap, no pressure. He gets the foot into this one, and this is a pretty good kick, not as long. It's an end-over-end kick. It's going to take a neutral roll at the 44 and will be killed at the 43. So there's a late penalty marker, and I think a Wildcat, he got a little bit too jacked up right there. A late hit should be the infraction, and that's going to back the Wildcats up.
Well, they would have had the ball at the 29 on the last punt. Now they get the ball at the 43, and we'll see exactly where they go from here with the penalty.
Well, if it's a flagrant personal foul, it will be a 15-yard penalty, and that'll put them right about
back to where they were.
Yeah, back to where they were just a moment or 2 ago.
Could have saved about, probably 10, 15, 20 seconds off the clock.
Jason Smith, you've got an interesting halftime guest coming up. You want to tease it a little bit?
Denison High School Principal Chris Trotter sits down with me.
Hey, I said tease it, not give it away.
But now he'll be talking about the outstanding toss scores that the Denison School District has garnered this year.
Absolutely. My wife is a school teacher in the district, and I want to tell you, the DISD, they have plenty of reason to hang their heads high. They got some very fine ratings from the toss test, and you'll hear all about that at Denison High School, at least, coming up in just a few moments. The ball back at the 32-yard line, so almost back where they started from a few moments ago. This is Kirsten, the quarterback. He's going to turn, tosses it. Ferguson, 30, 35, look out, 40, and he is going to step one. No, he's still going, 50, 45, 40. No, they're going to say like I thought. He stepped out of bounds about the 45-yard line as the jacket put a lick on him right there. I want to say that was Anthony Washington that put the helmet down and knocked Ferguson out of bounds. I'm told it was Robert Jackson, rather, with Washington coming up in support. He had plenty of room to run on that sweep, but pretty fortunate.
What Paris did is they put all the receivers on the far side. They did twins over there and had the receivers next to each other. That meant Denison's defenders went to that far side, left nobody over here on the near side. And what they do, they tossed the ball to the near side, and he had a free lane to run.
And Robert Jackson probably saving a touchdown. If it wasn't a touchdown, it sure was going to be a lot of yards. 1:15 to go in the first half of play. No score between Denison and Paris. The Wildcats 1st and 10 from their own 45-yard line. Offset look behind, or split receiver backs behind Kirsten. He wants to pass, looks, throws downfield, got a man. The ball is loose, and the Jackets are scrambling for it, and the Wildcats end up recovering it. A yellow jacket, that would be Robert Jackson, rather, was closing in on the football as it popped free after Halcomb caught it over the middle. But the Wildcats recover. It is Byron Blake who, once again, was Johnny on the spot for the Wildcats. It's the second time this quarter.
You know, he just shows up, and the ball just lands right in his lap.
Kind of gravitates his way. Denison going to have to be careful here. 1:03 to go in the half. No score, but Paris driving. This is a toss. Ferguson trying to head outside, and he's got a lane. He's going to try to spin out of one tackler as he crossed the 30. Couldn't do it, and he's taken to the turf, and that is going to be for the Yellow Jackets. Raymond Smith on the stop, but it's a first down for the Wildcats. And the ball it's going to be, nope, check that. It's not going to be first down. It's going to be close enough for a measurement. And we'll let our man roaming the sidelines call this one. You were dead on the last time. What about this one, Jason?
Looks like this one. Looks like Paris has this one just by the nose of the football.
Jason, I hope you're wrong.
You know, I never have liked that guy.
52 seconds remaining, whether he gets the first down or not. No score so far.
He's correct.
Yeah, you got it.
No. How about a credit card? Third down and a credit card length coming up for the Wildcats. Second down, rather. 52 seconds to go in the half. No score. Denison and Paris on 93.1 FM KMKT.
One thing that we have seen so far in this last drive by Paris, they've set up with the two receivers to the left in the last two plays, and they've gained big yardage out of them. So they're looking really good in their 2-minute offense. And I know Coach Brown's trying to get his unit fired up to stop this Paris drive.
No doubt about it. Split backs will set behind Kirsten. Two receivers come to the near side, including Jacob Caraveau, who's about 6'2", and 200 pounds. He'll split wide to the right. Kirsten, the quarterback, he wants to throw on 3rd and short, and he's going to be forced up out of the pocket, has the first down and more, and his feet are taken out from under him. The Wildcats cannot stop the clock. They'll stop it to set the chains after the first down. The ball is at the 12-yard line, 38 seconds to go. The Wildcats hurry to the huddle. Denison right up to the line of scrimmage, and wouldn't be surprised to see Mr. Kirsten throw the ball to the turf in just a moment. The official sets the chain, and the clock has wound. 37 seconds and counting until halftime. No score. The Wildcats knocking on Denison's door. 1st and 10 from the Yellow Jacket, 12-yard line. 3 receiver, offset eye look. Kirsten, the quarterback for the Wildcats. He's going to toss it. Henderson trying to get outside, find a seam. He's got one, breaks one tackle inside the 5, stumbles to the goal line. He is just shy at the 2-yard line with 19 seconds to go. The clock will stop while they set the chain, and then it will begin to wind. Paris will probably down the football. Maybe they'll go with a quick count.
That was a very interesting call to see Paris not opting to stop the clock with the spike and go ahead and run the football, because when you run the football, the clock keeps on winding, and it's now rolling at 15 seconds and counting.
14 seconds, 1st and goal from the 2-yard line for the Wildcats. A wing look to the left. Kirsten, the quarterback. Denison trying to dial up a defensive answer. It's going to be Jarvis Hill to the goal line, and Jarvis Hill has put points on the scoreboard for the first time in 2001 for the Paris Wildcats.
And no time remaining on the clock here in the first half.
So the Wildcats on the final play of the first half get the game's first touchdown. Denison with 2 golden scoring opportunities going for naught earlier in this game. And the Wildcats being very opportunistic here in the late going with no timeouts, drive the football, get a touchdown with no time remaining on the clock. They will go for the conversion, and it appears they're going for 2. We understand the Wildcats' kicking game not exactly stellar this year, according to the coaches, and it appears like the Wildcats are going for an 8-point lead. So here is a very important play for the Yellow Jackets. It will be a 2-point conversion attempt.
They may be thinking the same thing with the field conditions the way they are. They're not going to opt for the.
Nope, they are going to.
Yeah, they are.
They are going to try for the PAT. They were hiding Morrow in there, and he is going to try to put the foot into this one. Now, we do understand they have struggled all through preseason in their kicking game, and we'll see what Morrow can do. High snap. He gets the foot down, though, and this one's good. No time on the clock. We have well, they were very generous, the officials were, put 2 seconds on the clock. And so they'll have to kick the football before this half can expire, but the Jackets are hanging their heads right now, trailing 7-0. Timeout on the field. We'll take one with them. Yellow Jacket football coming back at you after this timeout. The football to Denison, but I don't think any of the deep guys will see this one. And it is going to be a squib kick, but it is going to bounce through, and Hines is going to take it at the 25, tries to find his feet in a block, still going 40, hammered to the turf at the 42-yard line. So Anthony Hines was trying to be a hero right there, but he could not do it, and the half has expired. 7-0.
Coming out for the second half, the Denison Yellow Jackets. Jarvis Hill, middle deep for the Cats.
Put into this one, he does so, and it is a end-over-end deep kick that drives Ferguson back to the goal line, slides there, comes out 5, up to the 10, slides, and then goes to the turf at the 12-yard line.
He wasn't going anywhere very fast because he had a wall of yellow.
6 of the special teams.
He had a wall of defenders.
A wall of Yellow Jacket defenders.
A lot of
is what
static
I was
right there, but I don't see the lightning yet. We understand there are some, the possibility at least, of thunderstorms in the forecast. We've seen no rain since the start of the game, but
we are still alive up here in the broadcast booth.
Barely. First down and 10 for the Wildcats. The ball is at we'll call it the 15-yard line. They lead 7-0. And Kirsten, the quarterback once again for the Wildcats. Offset eye look behind him, a wing look to the right. And Kirsten barking out a new set of signals. He's going to shift his fullback, Franklin, over. And this is going to be a toss to Jarvis Hill coming near side. The Jackets trip him up and doing the job very nicely. Anthony Washington taking the feet out from under Jarvis Hill after a pickup of about 4, maybe 5 yards. Looked like Hill had plenty of room to run. This is a very key possession for both Denison and Paris. Denison desperately wanting to keep Paris back on this end of the field. Paris desperately wanting to get out of this end of the field.
Yeah, and it's a good job to start out there with Mr. Anthony Washington stepping up and making the stop. He's one of those guys we saw a lot in the scrimmages a couple of weeks ago that was really throwing some pops and laying people down, and we've got to continue to see that from the defensive end position.
Second and about 6. This a wing look to the near side. It's going to be a toss. Jarvis Hill bobbled the snap, then hauls it in, trying to find a seam, and he's pummeled to the turf after he finally found one. And a host of Yellow Jackets put him on the turf, including Vincent Rhodes. And it'll be 3rd down and short for the Wildcats, who lead 7-0 here on Katy Country.
Vincent Rhodes stepped up, made a nice play. Also, the cornerback, Ronnie Powell. He's a first-year starter here. He's a junior, 5'11", 165. Read it nicely, came up from his cornerback position and laid the pop. So he was the initial guy there, and Mr. Rhodes came quickly and closed it down.
Big play here. 3rd down, a long 4 to go for the Wildcats. Wing look to the near side, too tight set for Paris. Leading 7-0. This is Kirsten. He's going to toss it to the fullback Franklin, and I don't think he got the first down. He got to the 25-yard line, and that's going to be about 1, maybe 2 yards short. And the Wildcats should have to punt the football away, so the Denison defense does its job on the first series of the second half. We'll wait and check the spot. It's going to be 4th down, about 1 yard to go, maybe a yard and a half. And I don't think Benton Rainey is going to gamble here.
Well, the Jackets can thank Mr. David Adams on that play, the linebacker. 5'10", 185. He's a senior. He came up, read a play nicely, ran right into the hole, and stuck the offensive ball carrier, and that created the 4th down.
Jackets will send Christian Brown back along with Robert Jackson as Kirsten puts the foot into this one. It'll be Jackson calling for the football. He goes to the knee, unfortunately, and touched the turf at the 41-yard line. He was he lost his footing as he came up to field the football, and as he got the football, making sure that he locked it up good, his knee slipped, or his feet slipped out from under him a bit. The knee barely touched the turf at the 42, and Denison starts 1st and 10 there. Offset eye look for the Jackets receivers either side as Vincent Rhodes shifts sides. Crawley, the quarterback, tosses to Jackson. Flag on the play. Jackson hammered to the turf at the line of scrimmage. Jarvis Hill putting a pop, and Jarvis Hill is about to get a flag. Hope we don't do that thing again this year. This is going to be Crawley on 1st and 5, hands it off Pritchard, and 1st and 5, 2nd and 5. Pritchard had nowhere to go, and he's hammered to the turf after going a couple of yards sideways.
Talking about yak yards after contact, he got -1 on that one.
You know, this is the first time that we've had a chance to visit on the air since that infamous ice storm. Let's hope that we don't do that again. You know, I remember a year that happened in the playoffs in a state championship game. Not with Denison.
You're a lot older than I am, man.
It was actually back in the 1980s, smart aleck. 2 tight end set, power eye look, 2nd and short for Denison. Jackson, that is Howard Jackson gets the toss and it's buried behind the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 4 is now 3rd down and 6, and Howard Jackson slow to get up.
Yeah, that's Paris showing their quickness on defense. They were very quick last year, very quick this year. That's kind of what they do over there. They're not a huge, overpowering team, but they run their defense by quickness, and they've been up to the ball carrier behind the line of scrimmage each time on this drive.
Well, the Yellow Jackets started the game with some pretty good upfield penetration with some 5, 10, 15-yard kind of gains, but as of late, the Wildcats in the backfield almost the time the handoff is given to the fullback or the tailback. Power eye look, 2 tight set, 3rd down and long. This is going to be Howard Jackson. He's got the 1st down and more. Now he's backtracking, but his forward progress is going to give him the 1st down. He was heading the wrong direction there at the end. He got to the 45-yard line. Now they're going to say the 44, and that's enough for the 1st down. It's the first down in a while for the Yellow Jackets.
What a burst of speed we saw from Howard Jackson right through the line. He was quicker than a cat getting the football through there.
Hey, by the way, that game, buddy, was Wilmer Hutchins and Austin Westlake back in, I believe, 1989 in Waco, Texas. Denison has seen both of those schools in the playoffs.
Back when I was a kid.
1st down and 10 for the Jackets. Not ice tonight, but mud certainly a problem. But the Jackets have a 1st down at the Wildcat 44. And the home crowd, or the visiting crowd rather, coming to life. This is going to be a high toss. Hines in the ball game, and he's going to haul it in and get tackled after no gain. Got back to the line of scrimmage. And Anthony Hines is a sophomore. And I want to tell you, before this guy's through, I think they're going to be beating the path to his door to get him to play college football for them. He's a sophomore. He's 6'1", 195, and fast as lightning.
He's got some speed. He sure does. Big kid. Where's the number 49?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he looks a lot like a young C-Rob.
By you, when you say that, you mean Chris Robertson.
Right, Chris Robertson. He's got the same body stature. This is a quick hitter inside by Rob Crawley. The pass is complete to the 40-yard line, and we'll see. Check the reception.
That was Crawley to Crawley.
That was our first Crawley to Crawley combo there. Crawley squared as Crawley, the older brother quarterback, fired one in there to Crawley, the younger brother receiver.
And I know Mr. Robert Crawley, the father, proud father, will be listening Tuesday night to the Cable One replay.
Yeah, we've got a nickname for him.
We sure do. And I think Jason Smith is responsible for this, but he calls him Crawdad.
Yeah, and with the mud on the field tonight, it's pretty appropriate place for a crawdad. Crawley is going to hand it off in the draw. The ball is loose on the turf. The Wildcats have recovered. Well, that scoring opportunity gone by the wayside. Denison trying the draw play, and it was never a clean exchange between Rob Crawley, the quarterback, and Howard Jackson, the tailback. And the Jackets turn it over with their second turnover of the night. Last year, it was 3 interceptions that hurt Denison's cause. Tonight, 2 fumbles. And the Paris Wildcats lead 7-0, and Denison gives up what was turning out to be maybe an attempt at a scoring drive.
What's good to see is Howard Jackson remains on the field. He comes into play his safety position, and all of his teammates come up to him, pat him on the shoulder, and say, hey, it's okay, we'll pick you up. We'll be all right.
Kirsten, the quarterback, Henderson, the tailback, and Franklin, the fullback, and an offset eye look, 2 receivers near side as the Wildcats take over 1st and 10 from their own 36. This is a toss. Henderson weaving his way upfield, buried,
wow.
And the ball may have popped loose. The official threw the beanie in there, but Paris was able to pounce back on the football. The ball did squirt free as Henderson juked his way up the field for 2 or 3 yards. Actually, they're going to say after the fumble that the ball was, there's actually going to be a 1.5 yard loss on the play. And boy, the official throwing that beanie around a lot tonight. Paris has turned the ball over once. There's been a couple of fumbles that have been recovered by the appropriate team, and then Denison has turned it over twice themselves.
Lynn, that's the way you play defense. There was 7 or 8 guys right at the line of scrimmage piling for the running back.
2 receivers to the near side. Offset eye look, 2nd down and 11 for the Wildcats from the 36. They lead 7-0. Kirsten's going to toss it to Jarvis Hill. He's heading up the field, got to the 40 and no more as 3 gold jerseys, including Johnny Hoover's, lower the boom on Mr. Jarvis Hill, and he goes to the turf. It's going to set up 3rd down and about 8 yards to go for the 1st down.
I couldn't tell whether if that was Hoover or Raymond Smith. One of those guys really came in there and popped him, and I believe it was Smith, the middle linebacker.
The Wildcats 0 for 5 on 3rd downs tonight. Benton Rainey would say, who cares? We've got the lead 7-0 on the scoreboard, but the Jackets trying to make them 0 for 6 here. An offset eye look, 2 receivers near side. The ball is loose. Ferguson couldn't find the handle on it. He is going to lose a lot of yards and goes down inside the 30-yard line at the 25. Ferguson cut up field as Kirsten pitched the football. It's a loss of 14 as Kirsten pitched the football behind him, and it went right through his arms as he tried to haul it in from behind and bounded around. He picked it up on the hop and tried to turn it upfield, and he was buried by a committee of Yellow Jacket greeters. And field position is going to be the deciding factor in this game tonight. Denison, right now at least, winning the battle of field position. They've got to begin to win the battle on the scoreboard, but they should get relatively good field position here. Kirsten is the punter.
Lynn, this is one of those games you can look on the sidelines and see who's playing and who's not by the mud and everything on the uniforms. Robbie Thomas, you can barely see the number 55 on his jersey.
Only one man back, that is Robert Jackson. The Jackets get close again for the block. It's a short punt that's going to bounce out of bounds near the midfield stripe, and well, they're going to now he's going to walk it back. Yeah, it's into Wildcat territory, and the official says it went out the 48-yard line. So Denison starts with another excellent starting position. They're at the 48 of the Wildcats. On any normal night, you'd say, hey, that's point-blank range for the Yellow Jacket offense. But there's a lot of mud on the field tonight after heavy rains have inundated Lamar County throughout the week. No rain during the game, but so far the rain has already done its damage. We're in the 3rd quarter, deep into the 3rd quarter. 4:09 to go, the clock running as these 2 predominantly running teams put the ball on the ground. Paris up 7-0. Denison trying to get back in this ball game. I formation look, receivers either side for Crawley. He'll call for the ball, hands it off on the draw to Jackson. His feet taken out from under him, and he goes down at the 50-yard line. A loss of 1 on the play, and on the stop, Jermaine Davis for the Wildcats.
You notice Coach Brown going right back to the draw play after fumbling on the last play that they had it. He says, well, we're going to do this until we get it right. So they run the draw play. However, they only get a yard. Actually, they lose a yard.
Coach Brown always keeps the big picture in mind. He sure wants to win this game, make no mistake about it, but he'll tell you also that he wants his football team to get better with every snap of the football. And the Jackets certainly trying to find some answers here in the third quarter. They trail 7-0. A toss to Jackson. He's trying to find some room on the left side, and he got back to the line of scrimmage and no more. That would be Howard Jackson, the tailback. And Torrey Gray takes him to the turf. 3rd down and 12 upcoming. The Jackets would have to get to the 37. You know, as bad as the conditions are, and we talked about passing would probably not be a big factor. Really, the play of the game so far is that pass late in the second quarter from Kirsten to Matt Holcomb. They got a big first down and picked up nearly 20 yards deep into Denison territory.
Brian Pritchard checks out of the ball game, meaning that sets up probably a pass as they'll bring some wide receivers out.
Hines is the tailback, and it will be a new fullback in the game, and that's going to be Jackson. Play action, Crawley wants to dump it off. It's a screen, and the ball was dropped on the turf as late flag, and I believe we've got spearing. We've got a spearing call, I think, going against the Wildcats, as Howard Jackson was absolutely leveled. He lost the handle on the football. It was an incomplete pass. He tried to pick it up. There's another flag across the field. That could be a shot on Crawley. Let's check down with Jason. Jason, a lot of activity. Who's it going against?
Well, the first one is definitely against Paris, and it looks like both of them are, as both of them are unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. Should result in a major penalty walk-off.
Yeah, Howard Jackson was absolutely leveled.
Howard Jackson was running out of the backfield. It was a kind of an underneath route, and Crawley was dropping back, and finally threw the ball out to him over in the flats. And the ball just finally bounced out of his hands, and that's when the defender came over there and really leveled him.
Well, it's going to end up being a 1st down and 10 for Denison at the 35-yard line of Paris. So maybe a break finally going the way of the Yellow Jackets. And it's a dead ball foul. Now they're going to mark another one off. So they go to the 35 on the first one. There's 2 penalties, both of them dead ball, and that will go from 4th down and 12 for the Jackets to 1st and 10 for Denison inside the Paris 20-yard line after back-to-back on the same play after the ball had fallen to the turf incomplete. Personal foul penalties, and I'm going to guarantee you Benton Rainey is going to be a livid man.
Very upset.
Denison has got to take advantage here. They trail 7-0 late in the third quarter, 2:34 to go. Crawley fakes the handoff to Pritchard, wants to go deep to the end zone. He's got a man there, and it's nearly a great touchdown grab. The ball falls incomplete, but you've got to give a lot of credit to the receiver in the end zone, and that is going to be, I believe, Nesbitt. For the Yellow Jackets, check that. It is going to be Raymond Smith, and he kept an interception from happening at the goal line.
Yeah, it was Rodney Brodnew who had the ball. Looked like he was going to pick it off 2 yards deep into the end zone. Mr. Brodnew made a great play, jumped towards the ball. Thought he had an interception, but the receiver did a good job of keeping him off.
2nd down and 10, the ball at the 19. Denison down 7-0. Receivers either side. Vincent Rhodes in motion for the Jackets. This is a toss. Hines, I believe, and he has nowhere to go. The ball is loose on the turf. It is still squirting around, and I think Denison finally got a ball to bounce their way, and they will have the football at the 21-yard line. As who pounced back on that football?
That was Gabe Carter.
That's who it was, Gabe Carter, who pounced back on the loose football. So turnovers doomed the Yellow Jackets last year, and if Denison falls tonight, you could say the same thing. Turnovers have been the story of the game. Denison started off relatively well in that department, but they have put the ball on the turf several times.
Lynn, I can't remember the last time I saw a football game where the ball flopped around on the turf as much as it has tonight.
Well, we have talked about the conditions, and they are atrocious. That's about the only... You know, they're almost, they're not quite as bad as they were in the Battle of the Axe, but they're pretty close. Crawley from the shotgun, 4 receiver set on 3rd down and long. He's going to fake the handoff inside, tries to get outside. He's tackled from behind, and it's going to be 4 down territory perhaps for the Yellow Jackets. 1:26 to go in the third quarter. Coming up from behind to make the stop was Jermaine Davis, and Brandon Fulbright was there just in case Crawley got away, and the Jackets are going to try a lengthy field goal, it appears.
Whoa, this is really interesting in the conditions that they're playing on tonight.
Yeah, Denison has been unable to get any offense generated.
This would be a 43-yard field goal.
Ball's going to be pretty much in the middle of the field. A timeout called by Nesbitt as Butler was unsure. We'll take it with him. The Jackets thinking about a long field goal. 7-0 Paris in the lead. Back in a moment with more Yellow Jacket football. Jamie Butler about to attempt a 42-yard field goal to give the Jackets 3 points. 3 fumbles, 2 of them lost, and 3 trips to the red zone with nothing to show so far. Nesbitt to hold. Good snap. Butler puts the foot into this one. It's a line drive kick. It's no good. It was wide to the right from the get-go. It had enough leg had it been accurate, but Jamie Butler pulled it as he was trying to get that little bit of oomph into it he knew he needed. 50 seconds to go in the third quarter. The Wildcats lead 7-0. Denison, one could argue, has played very well at times in this game, particularly in the first half. The Wildcats, you could argue, have not played as well, and yet they own a 7-0 lead. This is going to be a toss. Jarvis Hill outside. He breaks free. He's gone. 40, 45, 50. This is a foot race that is all for naught. Jarvis Hill is going to go for a 74-yard touchdown run, and the Paris Wildcats probably put the first nail into the coffin as a Yellow Jacket is slow to get up. That would be Raymond Smith, the inside linebacker. 76 yards, correct the run, as Jarvis Hill gets his first touchdown of the year, and that one hurts.
That's his second touchdown, actually. He scored the first one. Oh, I stand corrected. I believe Henderson scored the first one.
So Jarvis Hill gets a play that electrifies. I want to tell you, this is pathetic, folks. And I'm not talking about the way the Jackets are playing. I'm talking about Paris. We're here in Paris. There are more fans from Denison, Texas here tonight than there are from Paris. That's amazing. You ought to be proud of yourself, Yellow Jacket fans. Morrow on for the PAT, puts the foot into this one, and I don't know what they're talking about kicking difficulties because he drilled it. It's good. Our new score with 37 seconds to go in the third quarter. The Wildcats 14, the Yellow Jackets nothing. Denison Yellow Jacket football in Katy Country continues after this timeout. As they got 2 unsportsmanlike dead ball penalties, and that goes for naught. This is going to be Jackson drifting back, losing the handle on the football on the kick. He's going to pick it up, heads up the field, and goes to the turf around the 20-yard line. Jason Smith, the Yellow Jackets, this is a very young football team, and what's the psyche like on the sidelines? They're pretty disappointed, it looks like.
Well, they are very disappointed, very quiet, and Coach Brown mentioned over and over how crucial it is to keep the momentum and the emotions up for these young kids, because getting them down real early in their careers can have some serious consequences later on. So the Jackets have to step up right here.
Well, they do have an opportunity to rise to the occasion, no doubt about that. Will Crawley will be a flanker, or actually a back in a power eye look behind his brother. Now he'll shift out to a wideout spot. 2 receivers set for Denison, 1st and 10 from the 20. This is going to be Hines getting the toss, and he's drugged down from behind. A defender, that's going to be Gray, got the paw in there, grabbed the jersey, and held on for dear life. One thing, Monte, I think that is important to mention, Coach Brown did say in the preseason to us that, these first few games are going to be pretty important for the mindset, the psyche of these young players. And but he also said, we asked him, could you come out and lose a game or 2 as the quarter comes to an end? And he said, yeah, we could find something positive out of a loss. The Jackets are going to try to do that tonight. 14-0 Paris in the lead. We're heading to Jacket Quarter on Katy Country. Back in a moment with more Yellow Jacket football. And Yellow Jackets facing 2nd down and 7. And as the final stands begin, Rob Crawley lost the handle on the snap coming out from under center. And it's now going to be 3rd down and long. 36, now 37 plays for the Jackets. They picked up a couple of yards on that effort right there. So 37 plays for 83 yards on the night. That's a 2.2 per play average. It has definitely been tough going for the Yellow Jacket offense. Now, make no mistake about it, they've got an opportunity to win this game. 14 points is certainly not an insurmountable margin, but they're beginning to run out of time. They've got to begin to string something together. It would be nice here on 3rd down and 7. Crawley is going to hand it off. Flags on the play, however, and
that's going to be offsides on Denison. We had a couple of guys jump offsides on the snap count. That will more than likely be declined, and Denison will punt the ball away again. for the 4th time.
Don't forget, next week, your Yellow Jacket broadcast crew travels west down Highway 82. Not east, but west to Wichita County, Memorial Stadium to be exact, as Denison travels to face the Wichita Falls Hershey Huskies. It wouldn't be a football season without a trip to Wichita Falls.
Yeah, they've got a new rug down over there that's really nice. It's that new kind of turf, you know.
Looking forward to seeing it. Of course, that will be the first time we've been back there since Ronnie Ford set the all-time school record last year with a 99-yard against Ryder. This is going to be a punting effort by Butler. Puts the foot into this one, and it's going to take a Denison roll at the 50 and goes out of bounds around the 44-yard line.
Field goal.
Coriston is the quarterback, and he will turn, tosses it to Jarvis Hill, who had 76 yards and a touchdown on his last carry. Doesn't do so well on this carry. We'll call it 2 yards and no touchdown. So 2nd down and 8 coming up for the Wildcats. They lead 14-0. Don't forget to join our very own Jason Smith in the morning for the Red River High School football update on every Saturday morning on Katy Country. Jason Smith has all the scores and highlights from tonight's Texoma-Land games. 7:30, 8:30, and 9:30 right here on 93.1 FM Katy Country. Scores to update you on: Durant 13-0 over Idabel in the 3rd, 21-0 Denton over Justin Northwest, that in the 3rd, and 7-all Salina and Hillsborough, that at half. Our score here: 14-0 Coriston, the quarterback with 2 receivers to the near side. An offset I formation, 2nd down and 8, hands it off Jarvis Hill. He breaks 1 tackle, can't break the 2nd tackle, but he's got enough yardage for the 1st down. And they'll move the sticks as Jarvis Hill got out to the 46-yard line. If they're going to say it's short, it's just by the whisker of football, and I don't think it's short.
Yeah, it was Anthony Waddles, the safety, that actually finally brought him down.
Maybe the officials need practice. Maybe they're going to referee an NFL game, because we're sitting here looking at it directly in front of us, and I can tell you he got that with no question. Maybe they're trying to yes, it's not even close.
I don't even think it's on the football.
It's not. Maybe they're auditioning for an NFL scab job. Calling for 1st down measurements when he's got it by a yard. Probably not going to get the job done.
That probably wouldn't make a very good impression on Mr. Jones.
Does anything make a good impression on him? 9:57 to go in the football game. The first one of the year 2001, 14-0. Unfortunately, Paris 0. Denison, and the Wildcats trying to win their 2nd straight over the Yellow Jackets. This is going to be a toss. Henderson flag on the play, broke the line of scrimmage. 35, 30, still going to the 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Stick it in the Paris Wildcat end zone. It's another Wildcat touchdown, but hold everything, folks.
There's a flag, and I'm going to tell you, Mr. Hill actually, that ball carrier there, he ran over Shelly Pitts.
Well, that was Henderson.
Henderson ran over. You know, we're talking about Shelly Pitts, who's 200 pounds.
He's pretty good.
He ran over him.
He's a pretty good load to move out of the way, isn't he? And unfortunately, if Paris remains on the Yellow Jacket schedule, Jessie Henderson, who's already scored once tonight and is having his 45-yard touchdown run called back on a penalty, Jessie Henderson is only a sophomore. As a freshman at North Lamar last year, he rushed for 447 yards, and he had 5 runs of 65 yards or greater as a freshman.
Oh, yeah, he can scoot. He really can. He's going to be fun to watch these next couple of years.
Let's just hope we're watching him on the highlight reel and, you know, not in person. He looks like he's got his own reservation for a college scholarship somewhere down the road.
Well, that moves the Paris Wildcats all the way back on their own 46-yard line. So that did some damage there to the Wildcat drive that they were moving nicely. So now it's 1st and 20.
Clock winding at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Offset eye look for the Wildcats behind Coriston, the quarterback. 3 receivers, something you don't see from them very often. This is the toss. Henderson heads left, tries to get to the sideline. He got it. He's at the 40, at the 35, 30. A foot race down the sidelines and bumped out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. I think the Wildcats have found something to go to offensively as Jessie Henderson, the standout sophomore after just a second after having a 46-yard touchdown run called back. Well, he nearly took it that distance again.
Well, if you thought he was out of breath, could not possibly get the ball after that 46-yard run that was called back, guess what? You were wrong, because he got the ball and scampered 39 yards for another one. Not a touchdown, but a big gainer.
Wildcats have it at the Denison 14-yard line, 1st and 10 from the 14. We'll call it the 15, actually. And they'll have an offset eye behind Corsten, the quarterback. This is going to be a toss coming near side. Franklin in at tailback. He is going to be slung to the turf at the 10-yard line. So a 5-yard pickup.
That could have been a lot more, Lynn, because
it was Ferguson, not Franklin, and he had a lot of juice in him on that carry.
I want to tell you, Mr. Nesbitt playing the cornerback position on this near side, he had a perfect block thrown on him. Looked like he was going to be taken out of the play, but he did his perfect position, took him out, fought him off, and made the tackle. That's great play from the cornerback Nesbitt.
8:32 to go, and any hopes the Jackets have of coming back in this one and giving Bob Brown that 90th win probably rest on a stop here. 2nd and 5 from the 10-yard line. The Wildcats at 14-0. This is Jarvis Hill. He's going to be caught from behind, wrestled to the turf. Ball may have popped free, and the Yellow Jackets say they've got the football. No indication yet. Now the official saying it is the Wildcats football.
They're saying he was down before the ball came out.
So it is going to be 3rd down from the 9-yard line. 3rd down and about 4.5 yards to go for the Wildcats. Kind of a tough angle to view from up here. The ball is at the 9. They need to get just across the 5 for the 1st down. The Wildcats lead 14-0 here on Katy Country. Scoring on the last play of the first half and nearly the last play of the 3rd quarter. That's been the difference in the ball game. Denison moved the ball well in the first quarter and a half of play. The Wildcats have stiffened since then. This is a power eye look. The ball's loose, and it is going to be 4th down now as Corsten fell on the football 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, back at the 12-yard line. And I'm sure we're going to see Morrow come in for the field goal attempt, and he does, in fact. I think we got fed a line coming into this one. We were told that the Wildcats weren't all that adept in the kicking department, and they really hadn't worked on it very much.
Unless they played Barry Switzer and recruited him a pretty good kicker this week.
I'll tell you what, Morrow has put the foot into this one a couple of times on the PAT. And he is going to attempt a 27-yard field goal from the far hash mark. And the ball is down, the kick is on the way, and, well, maybe they were right. After hitting 2 PATs, it would have been good from 40. He can't even he puts it under the crossbars as he punched one through, and, well, these youngsters have plenty of talent, and it's only a matter of time before we begin to see some of that flashing its way onto the field. This is going to be a handoff inside to Pritchard, the fullback, and he bounces off the turf violently as he's caught from behind, and he kind of did that bang, 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 bam, bam, bam,
right
bam
off the
thing.
ground.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could bounce that much off of muddy ground, but he did.
He did about 4 times. It looked like.
Jermaine Davis, 24 on the tackle for the Cats.
Clock running at 6:47 in the 4th quarter here on Katy Country. Lynn, Burkhead, Monte Walker, and the rest of the crew. 14-0. The Yellow Jackets in the hole, but they're trying to climb back in. Hines is the tailback. He's trying to break one tackle, does so, still going, turning the legs, and gets a couple of extra yards.
Well, that was good to see. Mr. Hines kept those feet moving, kept his knees pumping up and down, and actually made a 4-yard gain out of nothing.
Hey, it will be an entirely different matter next week on that AstroTurf footing.
Right.
It will be an entirely different matter, and we'll see what the Yellow Jackets can do offensively when they get some good ground under them. 244 yards of offense for the Wildcats to only 78 for the Jackets. Crawley's going to toss it to Hines. Hines trying to shed a tackler as he tried to get around the corner, and it's just not there tonight. The corner, the footing is just pretty rough.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, that Paris defense is quick.
Well, we knew coming in that they would probably be the key for Paris.
They really have a nose for the football. They get there about as quick as I've seen a defense in quite a while.
And a lot of it has to do, I think, with the way the game has been going as of late. But they are getting there in a hurry. Butler will retreat back to the 10 to punt the football away. The Wildcats not buying it. They've got nobody back. Butler gets a good snap, no real pressure, and he gets away a wobbly kick. It's going to bounce across the 50, hits a Yellow Jacket defender, and is going to die at the 49-yard line. So it's just not going the way of the Yellow Jackets tonight. They trail 14-0 as we begin to head into the later stages of this game. 5:14 left. Not over yet for Denison, but something's going to have to happen in a hurry. It's probably going to take a defensive score on the 20-yard line, first down at 10, and not getting any points. All of that certainly hurts, and the Yellow Jackets know it. First and 10 for the Wildcats. The ball at the midfield stripe. Corsten will let the clock it's dead. He's taking plenty of time. Play clock's winding down. He's going to toss it to his tailback Ferguson, who's tripped up as he crossed the 48-yard line, falls forward to the 46, maybe the 45-yard line. Second down at about 5 coming up.
They are going to mark him right at the 45-yard line.
So it's going to be second down and almost 5 yards to go for the Wildcats. Their most important concern is the clock. It's at 4:52 and rolling in the fourth quarter. And I think the story of this one tonight would be missed opportunities and turnovers for the Jackets.
You know, it's a sloppy conditions out here, and it was kind of sloppy play by the Jackets tonight.
Two receivers to the near side, offset eye look. Dixon, the fullback, into the ball game for the Wildcats. Ferguson gets the toss heading left, but he's wrestled down from behind as the Jackets got excellent penetration. Anthony Washington, the man that capped off everything, but he's not the one that started it. Shelly Pitts is one of the guys that started it, and also the Yellow Jackets inside linebacker, the wheel linebacker, Raymond Smith, in there in the mix. It'll be third down and a loss on the play, so third down and about 7 coming up for the Wildcats. Clock at 4 minutes and 2 seconds and counting. 14-0, the Wildcat lead.
Well, that's what the defensive coaches will tell you. When you stand one of them up, wait for the rest of the guys to get there, and the rest of the guys swarmed very nicely and took him down for a loss.
Ferguson and Dixon, two little bitty guys in the backfield behind Corsten, and it's going to be Dixon getting the carry. He's got the first down to the 38-yard line. And that really hurts the Jackets' cause. 3:39 to go in the game, and starting to look like it may not go the way of the Yellow Jackets. Believe it or not, folks, that's the first third down conversion of the night for the Wildcats. 244 yards. Remember, of all that offense, the Wildcats have got 76 came on one play. And Jarvis Hill busted the line of scrimmage, and there was nobody back deep for the Yellow Jackets. And he had nothing but brown turf in front of him.
Is that thunder now? We've already been hit by lightning once.
3:22 to go in the game. 14-0, the Jackets trail. Jarvis Hill gets the handoff, stood up and buried by Johnny Hoover. Johnny Hoover didn't stand him up, but he sure put him down. And I think that might have been Raymond Smith again in there who did the standing up.
That was a nice collision, whoever it was. 3 guys right there swarming to the football.
And let's it's getting to the stage of the game. 2:58 to go. Doesn't look like Bob Brown's going to get win number 90 tonight. And you do begin to look for those positives, and I think there's definitely one. There were a lot of question marks defensively for Denison, and I think they've answered a lot of those questions tonight. The defense has played very well in my estimation.
Yeah, they certainly have. They've swarmed to the football. A lot of guys are making big plays. It's not just one guy. It's all 11.
2:33 to go. Second and 10. Corsten back to pass. Looks, throws, got a man, and he can't complete it. Incomplete. Gray had drifted out. Troy Gray, the senior wingback, had drifted out into the left flat, wide open, but you see why the Wildcats don't normally throw the ball. It was a pretty woeful wounded duck.
And it's very unusual to see him throw the football now with 2:26 remaining in the football game. That would have ran another probably 10, 15, 20 seconds off the clock had they just ran the ball.
Don't forget, we've got a lot of activity coming up after this game's conclusion. We'll give you our player of the game. We'll also go over the statistics and put a wrap on this one and get ready for next week at Wichita Falls Hershey. 2:26 to go in the game. It's all Wildcats right now, 14-0. Jarvis Hill, the toss, heads left, cuts it back right, breaks one tackle, then another, and guess what? He's got his second touchdown of the night. Second, third, and fourth effort gives Jarvis Hill another rushing touchdown, this time a 38-yarder to go with a 76-yarder earlier in the half. And it was a busted tackle. Robert Jackson was the last man that had a shot at him. somebody wrapped him up a yard beyond the line of scrimmage and couldn't hang on.
Well, it was Robert Jackson who really laid a pop on him. I thought he was going to bring him down. He just didn't wrap him up.
And a couple other Jackets had brief shots, but Jarvis Hill gets his second rushing touchdown of the night. And that's going to put a cork in it for the Yellow Jackets, I'm afraid. 20-0 the score with 2:16 to go. As Morrow is on for a PAT. He's been brilliant on the PATs. He was woeful on the field goal, and let's see what he can do here. And he kind of punches this one through. And the score's 21. So Paris puts 21 on the Jackets last year at Munson Stadium. Jackets had hopes of reversing that this year, and unfortunately the Wildcats stick 21 on the Jackets again. We'll take a timeout, back in a moment with more Denison football.
Chad Morrow to kick.
Five plays, 51 yards. Go ahead, Lynn.
They're not so electrifying when it's the other team doing it.
That's true. That's true. But it did. It didn't create lightning, but it was 5 plays, 51 yards. Took 2 minutes and 58 seconds off the precious clock that's now running down. It's now at 2:12 remaining in the fourth quarter here. And the Jackets really, if they're going to,
5-yard illegal procedure.
21 points is almost impossible, but it's been done before.
Yeah, pretty tough on this type of field because, we talked about the defense, one bright spot tonight. I'll give you the second bright spot, the fans.
Oh, yeah.
The visitor side was full when this game began. It's still nearly full. The game is just about out of question, and yet Denison's faithful have stayed. And from the very get-go, we had probably twice as many fans on the Denison side as they had on the Paris side. Hats off to the Yellow Jacket fans.
Oh, yeah. This is our third year to be able to broadcast these Jacket games, and it's always been that way. The Jacket fans are so loyal to their team.
Morrow's going to put the foot into this one, and it's going to be taken by Howard Jackson inside the 10-yard line up to the 15, 20. Breaks free, 25, 30. Look out. He had one man to beat, and the shutout was over with. He goes down at the 45-yard line. Jackson had one tackler to beat, or Denison was on the board. That tackler for the Wildcats was Dimitri Dixon, and he's the last gasp to save a touchdown. But there is no penalty, but we've got a shaken-up player on the far sidelines for the Wildcats. Well, folks, the Yellow Jackets, as we told you coming in, they're a young football team, and when they figure this thing out, it seems pretty obvious to me that there's some talent in places, and this is the kind of thing, maybe they start off slow tonight, but they've got a lot of football to play as we get ready for District 9 for a play, and this is probably a team that can get better week in and week out. Yeah,
there's big-time talent on this team that we've seen so far. Robert Jackson has played a great game, both offensively and defensively, along with his cousin Howard Jackson, who's also played a great game. The guys up front on defense, those are the key men on this football team because the defense looks like they're going to be strong. They've done a great job tonight. Johnny Hoover, Shelly Pitts, Vincent Rhodes, Anthony Washington, guys like that have really stepped it up and played a good football game here tonight. And the offensive line, what can you say? Paris is so quick on defense. They just got to contain and hopefully to keep improving.
At the college and the pro level, this is not always as true as it is at the high school level because it's pretty quick across the board at that level as we get set for play. 1st and 10 from the 44-yard line. Jackets with an offset eye in the backfield behind Crawley, a wing look to the left. This is going to be a play action. Crawley launches one downfield and is going to be intercepted. He waved it off. I thought that he had signaled interception, but he waved it off. And in fact, wait a minute, it is an interception. I thought he signaled a catch.
Well, Crawley was going for his brother, Will Crawley, out. And the ball is laying about the 30-yard line, the other 30-yard line, so it was a nice throw, but it was just a little bit short.
Yeah,
and
wet
the defender
football.
came up underneath it.
Wet football, and it was 2 steps too short.
It was kind of like one of those Quincy Carter's throws that you see. You might have saw that last night.
No.
It was kind of, the ball was wet, so it came out of his hand a little bit.
Hey, I will say this. Crawley Jr. had slipped behind the defender, had to come back and try to make a play on the ball. If he could have been hit in stride by his brother, it was a touchdown.
That's true.
Boy, wouldn't that have been an exciting way to break the shutout. $1:51 to go in the season opener, 21-0. Paris in the lead over the Yellow Jackets. Disappointing night for the Jackets on the season opener, and they're trying to put the clamps on this one and stop the bleeding. Short gain by the tailback for Paris. Monte talked about, hey, these St. Paris Wildcats up into Denison 21-7 last year. The Jackets went on to go 7-3 in the regular season, a 5-0 run through District 9 4A, and so make no mistake about it, there's a lot of football left to be played by the Yellow Jackets. Denison 57 yards in the first quarter, looked like they were off to the races. Monte, 24 yards since then.
Yeah, you know, we've seen that, you know, the last game that you and I got to do together was Waco University and
starting
Denison.
to be a trend, you know.
Yeah, and they did the same thing. The first quarter, they were off and rolling, thought that they would run right over Waco University, and then just stopped.
This is going to be a handoff to the first man through for the Wildcats. A lot of new faces into the ball game for Paris. That is going to be James Washington on the carry, and he'll get a short gain. Third down at about 5 yards to go. The clock, the important thing, it's inside of a minute. 45 seconds remain. Paris will go to 1-0 in the season. Bob Brown, for the second straight game, going to be denied of his 90th win at Denison High School. The Jackets will fall to 0-1. Denison getting ready for Wichita Falls Hershey next week on the road at Memorial Stadium. 7 o'clock, the countdown to kickoff here on Katy Country, and 7:30, of course, the kick, as we're inside of 25 seconds to go in the game. Trent Holt, the new quarterback for the Wildcats, he's going to probably go to the knee here, and that should do it. Holt hits the turf. This one is in the book.
Holt takes the knee to hand the over.